This is Gemara Metziah Daf Yomi Zayin, and today's share has been sponsored by a close friend of a Daf as a schos Alias Neshama for Eilizer Moshe ben Shיימא, whose yahrzeit was yesterday's Daf, the second day of Yontif, B'siyata Dishmaya, the learning, both as we prepare for Yontif and the learning that will be done Chol HaMoed of these Dafim should bring Eilizer Moshe ben Shיימא closer to the Kisei HaKavod, B'siyata Dishmaya. So we're holding on the first wide line of Nunvavim and base, and we're in the middle of discussing a Shaila of Rava. And the Shaila of Rava, just to scroll up for a moment to get us a bit of context, 12 lines from the wide lines was what happens. Wheat that you planted in the ground, we know that karka, we learned in the previous Mishnah, there's no din of Ainah. Obviously, wheat, there is a din of Ainah. So what happens when you plant it? Do we say that it's called karka, there's no Ainah? Or do we say that no, it's called wheat and there's yes Ainah? So said the Gemara, 3 lines on the wide lines, the case is the Amar Iu Shadibi Kedibai La. He said, I planted enough that the field needs. And it came out that Lamaisa, he didn't plant as much as the field needed. So on that, the Shaila is, Ishlam Ainah, Ayin Lahem Ainah. Says the Gemara, Keman. Teshadi Vikada Damyan. Do we say it's comparable to a case that the seeds are sitting in a jug and V'yeshlam Ainah, and there is no Ainah. So says the Gemara, we're going to, before answering this question, segue into a very similar shayla. Nishbayin aleihen or ein nishbayin aleihem? Is there a case of a shavua in this case? Again, the case that we're talking about, that we have the seeds that are in the ground. He says he planted sufficient amounts, but lamaisi he didn't. Would there be a case of a shavua? What's the shayla? Says the Gemara, do we say command damyan? So they're sitting in their jug, v'nish b'ayin aleim, they already asked me a shvua. Or do we say it's bottle to the land, and the lacha is v'inish b'ayin alehem? Why? Because we don't swear on karka, inish b'ayin al karkais. And now a third question that's relevant is Omer matirin. Does the Omer, the carbon Omer, permits the new crop? So will the Omer permit it? Ayin Omer matiran, or do we say that the Omer is not going to permit it because do we say that it took root afterwards or not? Hey, so the Gemara now is going to speak about that, but let's just point out the incredible siyata dishmaya, the carbon Omer, saying Spheres Omer, of course, is after the carbon Omer, which begins the second day of Pesach, which is this Daf Gemara. Absolutely incredible how it always seems to find its way in, mamish, to the calendar. So Eimer Matir and Ein Eimer Matir says the Gemara, Yechi Dami. What is this case about the Eimer? Ida Ashrish, if they took root. Tanina, we already learned in the Mishnah, as we'll quote in a moment. Idlay Ashrish Tanina. So ask the Gemara, this third Shaila, what exactly is the question? Did it take root or did it not take root? And regardless, we should know the answer. Ditanan, we learned in a Mishnah, Mishrishu Kaidim Laimer. If an item took root before the Omer was brought, Omer Matir, and the Omer allows them to be consumed. Vim Lav, Asurin. Says the Gemara, I'm not Asurin, She'avoy Omer Abba till the next year. So what exactly is this case of the Omer Leitzricha? Explains the Gemara, Techatzinu Zarinu, Kaidem La'omer. The case is talking about where you harvested grain and planted them before the Omer was brought. And v'asli de Omer, and the Omer came v'chalav alayu, and passed with them in the ground. V'loy eshrish kaidim la'Omer, but they didn't yet take root. So you have this middle level in the ground, not taking root. So the shaila is, we turn over to today's daf. What is the halacha? Can you take the kernels themselves out of the ground, and are you allowed to eat them after the Omer was brought? We said the Omer at least permits the status of the kernels, and as much as the wheat, it would not. And what's the shaila? Do we say command ishadim kadadami? It's as if they're sitting in a jug visharinu aimer and they'd be allowed to be consumed. So 3 different shailas that stem from the same place. Whether we say that an item that is planted in the ground, it's part of the karka, and therefore there's no ona. It's not part of the karka. It's yes or no. Shaila relevant over here about the carbon aimer, and the shaila is well relevant whether there'll be a shvu on it. Says the Gemara Teku, we're gonna have to wait for Eliyahu Hanavi for this one. Continues the Gemara 3 lines down. Amaravam Rav Chasta Boy Rav Ami Oino Inlam Bittul Mekah Elno In Lahem Bittul Mekah Yesh Lahem Oy Ein Lahem. In regarding to all the things, all the items, we're discussing where there's no na. Says the Gemara, do we say there's no ina, but the sale is bottle? Or do we say, ein lahem, the sale is not bottle either? Amar Rav Nachman, Adam Rav Chasa, Pasha Rav Ami, ina, ein lahem, bitzel mekach, ish lahem, but the sale will be void. Rav Yaina Amar, says Rav Yaina, ha'ikdeishais, that when Rav Yechlam was discussing, talking about hektish, Rav Yirmiyah Amar karkais. So about karkais, Tarvayo Mishmeit Rav Yechlan Amru, Oina in them bit, Oina in lahem, bitzel mekach ish lahem. Whether it's on karka, whether it's on hektish, they both share the same sentiment that there's no din of oina, but they could be mevatel the sale if it's going to be at a larger value. Says the Gemara, Mandamar Aktishas Kolshkin Karkais. But Mandamar Karkais, 10 lines down, of Aktishas Loi, Wainaktish Shmuel, Damar Shmuel, Hektish, Shavamanish Chilal, Shavat Pruta, Mechulal. So says the Gemara, when we said that there's no ina, but there still will be bittul mekach. Before we go further, let's take a moment to look at Rashi. Rashi says, bittul mekach, about 10 lines into the narrow lines, Yeiser mishtos, Yeshem ma'ilem, miyam rinan, me'al tainu, hudi ma'it, that we have a miyot of oina, ve'lavachal anahu, ela mekach taisu, and therefore it's straight up mekach tais. Oidama kim the lav, davar shem amido, v'lai ate b'dibure, kishar did I know? So how do we view this item? Says the Gemara, hektish shavamanish chilal shavapruta, mechulal. Tanan hasam, asks the Gemara on Rav Yaina, Tanan hasam imaya kodesh balmum, if the animal which is kodesh, the animal which was given to the Beis Hamikdash is a balmum, yatsa lechulan, then the halacha is that if someone wanted to transfer the sanctity to something else, yatsa lechulan, it goes out lechulan. V'tzarech lasas lai damim, and you have to make up the value to give to hektish. So Amar Rav Yechon, what's his Mishnah talking about? Yatsa lechulan dvar Torah. Tzarech lasas lai damim midivreim. Midaraisa, it goes out lechulin, says Rav Yehuda. Midarabanan, you have to make up the value and give it to hektish. Whereas Rish Lakish Amar, Av tzarech lasle damim min atayra. This is all big, one big din daraisa machlekes Rav Yechon and Rish Lakish. Says the Gemara b'maya skinan. What precisely is the case upon the scrutiny again when we say that it's going to either be Sarch lasas leidamim midivreim or sarch lasas leidamim even midaraisa? What exactly is the case? Ask the Gemara on this machlekes Rav Yechon and Rish Lakish. If you're going to tell me it's the value of Aina, Ba'alim Rish Lakish sarch lasas leidamim dvar Torah. On this, would Rish Lakish say? Excuse me. V'halim Rish Lakish sarch lasas leidamim dvar Torah. In such a case, Rish Lakish say the midaraisa, there is such a din, but it can't be vatanan. 20 lines to the bottom, the first line is vatanan, but they're into the Mishnah, ilu dvarim she'in l'mayna, karkais avadim shars v'akdeishais. So it can't be that there's ayna. Ela bitol mekach, also going a bitol mekach. So then, if that is the case, lima Rav Yochanan tzarich lasas damer midivreim, midrabanan, v'rai v'am Rav Yochanan hakdeishais, v'Rav Yirmiyah amar karkais, Tavayim Mished Rav Yochanan Amri, I know in them, but bittul mekach ish lahem. Says the Gemara, Laila, really, you know what's going on over here? Says the Gemara, Bebitzel Mekach. Ve'ebach, Rav Yechanan, Reish Lakish. With Reish Lakish, Rav Yechanan, switch up the Shitais, and we don't have any problem. But says the Gemara, maybe you can reconcile everything else. But Lamaisa, B'maika, Mifligi, what is the Machlekes? Reish Lakish and Rav Yechanan. It says the Gemara, B'di Shmuel. Tamar Shmuel, Hektish Shaveman Shechilal Shave Pruta, Mechulal Samar. It's lay the Shmuel, whereas Amar, less lay the Shmuel, whether we hold there is such a din, will be a machlekes in Shmuel. Ibai is saying, the Kuliyam is the Shmuel, what's the machlekes? Vaha, the machlekes of Yechlan and Rav Lazar, Rish Lakish is, Vaha, Kamifli Marsav Shechilal Yin Lechatchila Lai, that it's only a din mid b'diavad. Lechatchila not. Umar savar afil lechatchila. Ibai sema a third teretz. Loy lebechdei v'loy pet v'loy tepach. Tzedei ana. But and you don't have to switch on Yechon Reish Lakish. Rav Chisda Kamifli is a sidebar machlekes. Damar my inam ayna inam b'toyra is ayna, says Rav Chisda. What it means is it's not within the parsha of Aina, which as we turn over to Zayin Mebez explains the Gemara, meaning that afilu pachais v'chdei Aina chayzer, meaning it doesn't have the kulas of Aina. We're always viewing Aina as chomras, which is true, but says the Gemara, there's a flip side case as well, that there's no kulas of Aina. Meisvei asked the Gemara, ribis v'Aina lehedyet, vein ribis v'Aina lehektish, there is ribis and their interest, and there is Aina, but not by Hektish. Mi alima, mi masnisan, says Gemara, dektim v'tayris Aina, chanami ribis, v'din Aina. So too over here is the same din, it's ribis and the din Aina, lehedyev, and ribis din Aina, lehektish. Says Gemara, Yachi, if that's the way that we're going to explain anything, Tani Sefer, is that chaymer behedyev behektish, a ribis. So listing nami zacham reactish ve'adid Aina. If we're saying that ribis and Aina both are in the same boat, so why doesn't the Brayser just put the two of them together? Says the Gemara, Hachi Ashta. Bishlam zacham ve'adid ve'aktish v'sulai. That makes sense. Allah hektish zacham v'sulai. Can't be ribis d'aktish echidami. What is the case of ribis and aktish? Ilim in the asli gizbar meya. Bimei estim. You lend money to the gizbar, the treasure, temple treasury, 100 for 120. But the Gizbar is a mile. The money goes to Chulin, which of course is din of Me'ilah. Then once the item is misused and misappropriated for a mundane usage, halacha is that the money goes to Chulin. And this, in reality, is the case. Kilirtani, as you learned to the Braysa, Makabal of the suffix slasis marba va'amdu shalosh misafik me'arba me'shalosh va'amdu me'arba misafik. 1 second. Let's go back again. I'm sorry. Let's read this. Let's read this correctly. One more time. Again. Kabul of the sapek slasis marba. Someone commits to supply fine flour, l'sapek slasais, to supply flour to the Beis Hamikdash me'arba for supper sela. Va'amdu mishalosh, and the price rises that it's 3 supper sela. Misabing ma'arba. What does he have to do? He still has to supply at the original price that he agreed to. Mishalosh, if he agreed at 3, and now va'amdu me'arba misafek me'arba. That misabig bar, but he has to give them at the new lower price of 4. Sheyad aktish alo yoina. The aktish always gets the upper hand, and one has to ensure that. Rav Papa Maracha ba'avnei binyan amasuras legizber askina on building materials kedishmuel damar Shmuel boinin b'chol v'achar kach makdish, and they're able to build it without kedusha only after their makdish, and that's what the Mishnah is going to be referring to. Ve'in be'em tashlumim, says the Gemara quoting the Mishnah. There's no tashlumi kefel dalad hey etc. Menanim, you already know this from the Tanur Rabbanan. Al kol devar b'eshek klal shavach amar. Al savasim la prat. This should be reminiscent of the Meruba days. Al kol aveda asher yomar. Any aveda that you said is chazar klal, is repeating the general rule. Klal pradu klal yatadana l'kina pram avram avurj avram meteltel. V'gufay mammon, a movable item that is cash. I've called over metaltal v'gufay mammon. Yatsu hekdesh ain't metaltal v'yatsu avadim shokshel karkais. Yatsu shtara yishav v'shamshaltin ain't gufan mammon. Hekdeshais amar kar re'eyu, which means re'eyu v'loy hekdesh. V'loy tashlumei daled v'hei. We're 15 lines from the wide lines, quoting the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, "My taimo tashlumei daled v'hei amar rachmana v'lo tashlumei." Excuse me, my taimo tashlumei daled v'hei amar rachmana v'lo tashlumei gimel v'daled, not of paying 3 or 4 times. Continues the Gemara. Sheimer chinan me'inay nishba. Continuing to quote from the Mishnah, Menani Mili Dan Rabban Kitin Shal Re'eu Klal Kasvay Kalim you give to your friend is a prat. Chazer v'klal klal bar klal Yedan El Keina prat. Ma'avra mefurash. The only time there's going to be a shvua is when Davra Metal to V'gufa Mammon Akot of Davra to V'gufa Mammon, and therefore Yatsu Karkais. She'ena Metalzin Yatsu Avadim Shukshu like Karkais Yatsu Shtare Shavu Visha Metalzin in Gufa and Mammon. So all these cases the payment will not apply. Pick it up from Noisei Sachar B'siyata Dishmaya.